Hello again, Ambassador Terry here with another Year Six What Are You Doing podcast. And my guest this week is Deb Krier. Welcome, Deb.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Terry. I am so delighted to be here.
I'm glad to have you. You're doing some very interesting work. You were uh, referred to me by a mutual colleague, and I'm glad we connected. So, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the famous question. Deb Krier, what are you doing?
Well, aside from having an absolutely fabulous time getting to know you today, what I kind of do overall, numerous things, right? We all do a lot of things, but I own my own company. It's called Wise Women Communications. It's a full service marketing agency. But I was thrown a loop a little over 10 years ago, was a good kid, went in for my annual physicals, all of those good things, and got the call that I needed to come back and redo my mammogram. Now, I have worked for an oncologist and I worked for the American Cancer Society. So I know that wasn't that I didn't smile pretty. And so went back. Turns out that I was initially diagnosed with stage 0 cancer, which is, not going to worry much about it. We're just going to kind of watch things. Several months later, though, we did some more testing and discovered that it was actually stage 3 cancer. So it had already spread. And so I was a little unhappy. When my doctor told me that, I looked at her and I literally said, I'm sorry, I don't have time for this, right? I'm a business owner. I'm busy. And she, of course, just kind of stood there and looked at me, And then, a couple more tests later, several months later, the diagnosis was changed again. And so that diagnosis is now stage 4, triple positive metastatic breast cancer. So yes, I have stage 4 cancer, but I've passed my 10-year mark. So woohoo! But along that journey, I developed multiple complications, major serious complications. In fact, at one point, the doctors were arguing over how quickly I would die that day. And I remember thinking, excuse me, I get to vote. And obviously I voted. But went through lots of things and kept my sense of humor. I think that's one of the biggest things through this entire journey. I also had two more unrelated. So I have three separate cancer diagnoses. I was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, which sounds horrible and awful, and it's actually your basic garden variety skin cancer. And this redheaded, freckly kid from the mountains of Colorado, we were all really surprised that I was in my 60s before I ever had an issue with skin cancer. But then several years ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Luckily, we caught it very early, and aside from removing my thyroid, no further complications. But along the way, my business coach, God bless her, her name is Kathleen Caldwell, told me in a Zoom, shaking her finger at me, you did not go through everything you went through without using it to help others. And I said, oh no, I don't want to be cancer girl. No, no. And I am actually still in active treatment even after 10 years. I go in every 21 days. And so, but I want to have it just a small part of my life, right? It's just a little part of who I am. But I listened to Kathleen, I listened to my heart, and I realized, yeah, I needed to try to help others who were on their journey with cancer. And we started trying not to die.live. I think it's been about 4 years ago. I need to look this up. But the concept is that the trying not to die part is when we have a serious illness, whether it's cancer, whether it's whatever, sometimes it's just life, right? We get so caught up in trying to not die that we forget that we have to live. And whether that's 5 hours, 50 years, whatever it is, how are we going to go along in that journey? I tell people, I don't want my headstone to say, I wish I would have. So, we've built a community, a support community, and I try and keep as much humor in there as possible. As you can probably tell, I'm one of those people. But it is a way to support people. And then I also recently launched having the ability to, I am an integrative cancer coach. I've been certified in that, which is a very strange thing to be certified in, right? But I took a 12-week course. It was very detailed. I'm also a grief coach because we go through a lot of grief with this. I am also a happiness coach because that's more important. But I work with executives and business owners who are told, you've got cancer. And they're like, nope, nope, I don't have time for this. And more importantly, I can't tell anybody about it. So that's just kind of what I've been doing.
Busy girl. Busy girl. I knew this was going to be fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Leave us some comments. We want to
Mm-hmm.
hear from you. And thanks, Deb. This was great. So bye for now, ladies and gentlemen.